So I guess this video isn't going to make much sense if I don't tell you right away that I have an announcement to make. My husband and I are pregnant. Well, sometimes I kind of hate when people say that. I'm like, I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. He is not. He's the father, but he's not pregnant right now. But it's definitely news from both of us, and we kind of just started telling people. We haven't made like a big Facebook announcement or anything like that. I don't know if we're even going to. We were trying to think of some like creative way to do it, so I don't know. But we're really excited, and it's been kind of fun just to have it mostly between us at the beginning, and now this is kind of a new, even more fun stage where we get to tell everybody else. So while I am super excited and I can't wait to be a mom, I can't wait for my husband to be a dad, I can't wait to just like be parents together, and I can't wait to meet this little baby. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but little baby that has been changing our lives so much already. It has been quite a transition and quite a process, and especially as a teacher, it's just been a little bit tough to adjust. At the beginning, I mean, it was really rough. Like, I've been pregnant like September, October, November. Oh, I should say I'm 13 weeks right now. So probably the month of October was like the hardest month of my life. Like, it was just really rough. You didn't see any YouTube videos from me. Friends did not hear from me. Nothing much got done. I was pretty much just like on the couch watching HGTV every weekend, every evening. So there are definitely some challenging parts. And right when I first got pregnant, I was kind of looking for resources, maybe like YouTube videos or blogs or something about like teaching while you're pregnant and trying to just kind of get through that beginning stage, especially when like people don't really know. And I couldn't find much. I found a lot of videos about like the first trimester of pregnancy, and they were very helpful to me. It was so nice to just like see that other people were going through what I was going through, and just to know that I wasn't alone. So I just thought I would make a video just about kind of my symptoms in the first trimester and how it affected my job and how I just kind of tried to deal with it. Okay, I've written them down so that I wouldn't forget anything. Okay, so the very, very first thing that you noticed, or at least that I noticed, was fatigue, like you have never ever experienced before. You are so tired, you think you're dying. Like, that was the kind of the clue to me to like go take a pregnancy test, because I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, I have never been this tired in my entire life. And that happens basically right away. I think that was one of the biggest shocks to me, is that I thought, you know, you've got 9 months that you're pregnant, and so like symptoms kind of like gradually increase maybe as you're pregnant, but no, that's not how it works. It's just an instant like rush of symptoms, even though like you don't really look any different and no one else probably knows that you're pregnant, but all of a sudden you're feeling all of these symptoms and you're like, ooh, I thought I was gonna get a little chance to like adjust to this, but that's not how it works. So I was just extra tired. At work I was really tired, and then I would come home and I could barely make it through the door before I would just lay down on the couch and take like a several hour nap, and then even after that I really didn't feel like I could do very much once I woke up. My husband was great about it, and he would just like go get some takeout and like bring it home at like around 7-ish, when he knew I'd be like waking up from my nap and be really hungry. So he was really great. But one of the things that I didn't realize was gonna happen was that I just lost so much like productivity. So, you know, I work full-time, and then I'm also in a master's program, and it's a really pretty intense master's program. This is the 5th year that I've been in it. This is my last year, and I'm just trying to finish it up. It's an hour away from where I live, so once a week at least I have to drive that hour and then go sit in class for 3 hours, and that was just, it was so hard on me to leave work, drive all the way there, sit in class, and I was just like, ugh. It was rough. I was barely making that. And then usually when I would come home from school, like in the past, I would have, you know, quite a few hours in the evening where I could, you know, do some research, do some reading, get my homework done. And that all that time was just gone. Like I couldn't read, I couldn't even, like being on my computer kind of made me feel nauseous and sick. I was just used to having my evenings and weekends available to get things done, especially homework things, and it just didn't happen. I mean, literally right now I'm like failing my class, to be honest. My professor is very understanding. She was like one of the first people I told because I needed her to understand, like, I am pregnant, I am tired, I work full time, and I have to drive all the way here, and I'm just not able to keep up with the workload. Like, things are just gonna be late. And she was very understanding, thank goodness. So I'm behind on a lot of things right now too. I might have to like ask for an extension, but that's just how things go. So if you are like planning your pregnancy and you do teach full time or work full time, and then, you know, maybe you also have another project going on, just kind of consider the fact that you will not be able to get as much done as you usually do. And again, it is pretty instant. It just happens right away that you're just like laid out because you're so tired. So this has definitely been my most difficult semester of school. Plus I'm taking medieval literature. I mean, it's a little hard to stay motivated anyway. So just be ready for that. You're gonna be tired. And everybody just kept telling me like, oh, well, this is the time in your life that, you know, you really need to slow down and listen to your body and relax. And I'm like, I know, but I kind of can't. Like, I still have to go to work and I still have to go to school and I still have things to get done. So if you can possibly eliminate anything from your life that's adding extra work or extra stress, I would advise it. But at the same time, I mean, you gotta live your life, and sometimes you just can't cut out too many things. There's a lot of stuff you still have committed to or have to get done. So just be prepared for the fact that you're not gonna get as much done, and don't be too hard on yourself and don't get too frustrated with yourself. I started getting pretty frustrated with myself, I think, and I just started feeling really lazy and like I had no time management skills, but like, it's just because you're pregnant. That's all. So the fatigue kind of goes along with like the nausea. I was very lucky in that I didn't really throw up that much. I threw up a few times, but for me, it mostly just felt like I was like car sick all the time. So that wasn't a lot of fun, but I mean, I was very aware of the fact though that I'm pretty lucky in that sense that I wasn't actually throwing up all day. I know a lot of people who that was the case for their first trimester, so I was kind of able to just deal with that mostly by just eating a lot more. So I was never a person who ate breakfast, but I have been eating breakfast for sure since I got pregnant. And the things that have really worked for me is I'll have like toast with avocado. I've been really loving that. Or I'll have toast with like a scrambled egg. And so it takes more time in the morning, but I would rather be late and eat some, you know, some carbs and some protein and have something in my stomach to keep me going, because otherwise it is gonna be a miserable day if I did not get a pretty substantial breakfast. Then I'm just gonna feel terrible. Make sure to bring some snacks with you. I had like saltine crackers and stuff like that in my drawer, just like some granola bars. I always try to remember to bring my lunch, although I have been getting more forgetful, like that baby brain or whatever. So a few times I would like make my lunch and it'd be sitting on the counter and I'd forget it, and then I would freak out. So one day I just ordered a Domino's pizza to my classroom. I was like, I'm so hungry and there's no way I'm going without lunch. So during snack, called and ordered a pizza, showed up at lunch. It was awesome. Another thing that I would just feel throughout the day was headaches. So I had already just been keeping water in my classroom and a tumbler like that I would just drink all day long. It's kind of hard like when you're teaching to like drink from a water bottle. I mean, that seems really silly, but for me it's kind of hard to like unscrew the top and like pick it up, set it down, like in the middle of trying to get things done. But like a tumbler for me is a lot easier, or just like something like this, because you can quickly take a sip and then like keep moving. So for me, anything with a straw was really good. Since I have Starbucks, I should mention that another thing that like compounds the fatigue is that you're also not really supposed to have caffeine. So I was used to having at least like a cup of coffee a day or a cup of tea or something, and then I tried to cut all of that out. So like there's nothing you can even do about it when you're tired. You can just sleep. That's really it. These days I've relaxed a little bit on my caffeine intake. Like this is a black tea lemonade because I was super tired Today we had a late night. Last night, just hanging out with family, but that like destroyed me today. I was so tired today because usually I've been going to bed super early. Like I'll go to bed at like 9 o'clock because I just can't stay up any later. But last night we didn't make it to bed until like 2, and so oh, that hit me hard. So you'll probably just end up sleeping more and going to bed earlier just because like your body can't make it past a certain time anymore. Oh yeah, so the headaches, I think staying hydrated kind of helped with my headaches. If I stopped drinking water, like I would get a headache. So you're really not supposed to take very much medication. I just kept Tylenol in my drawer at work. I still have it in there, and then a lot of water, and that's really all you can do. But for me, that helped. That was fine. I didn't have like, you know, debilitating headaches. It was just kind of like annoying, like, you know, you're tired and then you feel kind of nauseous and then you have a headache, and it's just kind of hard to keep working. And you know, as a teacher, you're kind of like putting on a play every single day and putting on a performance and having to be aware of so much around you, and it's just a little bit hard because your awareness is kind of stuck on how you feel and then that's not so fun. Another thing that I will admit to for sure is I was very cranky right at the beginning. Even before I knew I was pregnant, like I had a couple of parents come in for meetings about their kids, and I have never been so blunt and so like, this is how it is, and if you don't get your act together, you're not gonna have the skills to graduate from high school. I mean, things that were true and needed to be said, but that normally I would have like a little bit more tact about. Maybe I'd put it a little bit more softly, but yeah, in that first trimester, if you came to me and had a problem, I was going to tell you exactly how to fix it, and I did not filter much at all. I remember thinking like, wow, I must really not be a new teacher anymore because moms do not intimidate me at all. I will go off on their kid in front of the mom. I don't even care. But I think that was also a little bit of the hormones. Just be aware. Like once I found out that I was pregnant, I started to kind of be more aware of my hormones and my moods. And so like if my students started to like really irritate me, like I could feel it like, kind of like welling up in me. Like I almost was about to like go crazy on them, but I would feel it and I would just be like, okay, this is probably a little bit hormonal. Like yes, they're being annoying, but maybe I could just handle this in like a softer way instead of like going nuts on them. So just being aware that that even is happening, that like you are probably a little bit more cranky, and that yeah, they're not being perfect, but that like you maybe don't have to respond how your body is telling you to respond right now. That can just be kind of helpful. And oh well, another thing is that like your sense of smell is super heightened. I didn't realize again that that would happen like right away. So one time I was outside of my classroom, like I had to leave for a second and I was coming back in, and outside the door I could smell somebody's chips. I could smell their chips, and so I opened the door and I like walked in and I'm like, somebody has chips, put them away, I can smell them, I know you have them, get them out of my face. So anybody that had food in my classroom, I don't allow that anyway because I'm already kind of sensitive to smells, and I don't like any of the things they eat. I don't like Doritos, I don't like Cheetos, I don't like Takis, I don't want any of that stuff in my classroom anyway. So they already know they're not supposed to have it, but then I could smell it even if it was, they'll try and put it at like the top of their backpack, you know, and then like sneak it and chew. I'm like, I can hear you chewing it, I can see you grabbing it out of your backpack, and I can smell it. Like, you are not smooth in any way. Like none of this is fooling me. So I would make them like shove it way down in their backpack, either throw it away but I kind of didn't want it in my trash can because then I would still smell it. So like way down in the bottom of their backpack, like underneath their books, like crush it. So yeah, for me, the crankiness and the sense of smell kind of coincided a little bit. Okay, so just a couple of other things. You have to use so many sick days while you're pregnant, and luckily I didn't have to take them just because I felt too sick to go to work. I just went anyway. And if you possibly can, just go, because there are so many doctor's appointments. I did not realize that you're at the doctor like practically every week. I mean, they say it's once a month, but it's not. Like they have you in for all these other things too. And I think like one of my appointments was scheduled for after school, and the rest of them, the place that I go to, they say is really busy and really impacted, and you just have to take whatever they give you, whatever appointment. So I've just been taking half days. Like if it's in the morning, then I'll just come in you know, halfway through the day, and then if it's in the afternoon, then I just leave halfway through. So you got to kind of like figure out the half day sub system and stuff like that at your school. And I mean, I didn't really want to tell people that early, but I probably actually should have just went ahead and told the secretary pretty early on, like once I was trying to schedule all these appointments, because she could have helped me with that. And now she has, now that I've told her. That gets like pretty confusing and a little frustrating too, because I don't know about in your district, but in mine, there's really not maternity leave. I mean, they say there is, but it's really not. Like, you've just got your regular old sick days, which you have to use all the time for your appointments. And then once you give birth, the only days that you would get paid fully for are sick days, but they're all gonna be gone. So then, like, yeah, we get 6 weeks, but you pay your sub out of your salary. So by the time you get your paycheck, like, you're hardly getting anything. So I don't know, if I had kind of like understood that process earlier, I might have just like never taken a day off ever and just saved it all up as much as I could. I just thought the system would be better for a profession that has so many young female employees. I thought that we would have a better deal, but there's nothing really. So luckily for me, I'm due, well, they keep changing my due date. Every time I go, they're like, oh, no, it's this big. No, it's this big. So I think my due date is around like right at the beginning of June. And our last day of school is June 10th. So I'm just already hoping that I'm going to be late and that I can just work all the way up until the last day of school, and that my water will just break when the bell rings for the last day of school. And I can just go to the hospital after that. So I'm kind of all about the money at this point. Like, I'm gonna have to pay for things for this baby, and I don't get paid in the summer. So like, yes, I'll have, you know, those 2 months off to just be with my baby, and I'm so excited for that. It's gonna be wonderful, but at the same time, like, I gotta get all the money that I possibly can, because babies are not cheap. They are not free. You have to pay for things. So okay, so what other little tips did I have for you? Okay, like telling people. I didn't really want to tell my coworkers. The person I did tell was the nurse, just in case like anything ever happened to me, or like if there was an emergency or something like that. I wanted somebody to know that I was pregnant, and I told one of my administrators as well, just so that like I would be safe in the event of an emergency or whatever. But I didn't really tell like the rest of the staff until just the other day. Right before we left for Thanksgiving break, I just sent out an email like, by the way, I'm pregnant, happy Thanksgiving, bye. Just because I like wasn't feeling very well, and I wasn't really in the mood for like a lot of unsolicited advice. And even with like the very few people who did know in the office, like I would assign detention to a kid who was legitimately in the wrong and needed detention, and I would get like comments like, oh, well, you know, you're just very hormonal. And I'm like, no, I'm just the teacher, and these are consequences for students. So for as long as possible, like, I didn't want anybody to be able to just be like, oh, well, you're pregnant. Like, that's On the flip side, sometimes you like get some pity, like, oh, you're pregnant, here, let me like help you with this, or no, you don't have to do that. But then like for me, that almost wasn't worth it. Like, I didn't want anybody questioning my judgment or questioning like the job that I was doing. So I mean, so I don't know, it's totally up to you. It's kind of nice when people know, because then they can help you out a little bit, and they do kind of cut you some slack. But I don't know, I wanted to just kind of feel like I was holding things together, even though it was really hard. And so like while you're teaching, it is good if you can just keep things as simple as possible. I know that's like just ridiculous to say to a teacher, because nothing is simple, but like if you need to sit down, I felt so weird sitting down, but sometimes I would just have to sit down and like teach for a minute, like from the front of the room, but like sitting on a stool. I rarely do that, but I needed to sometimes. I've probably shown a few more video clips this year than usual, because sometimes I just need to sit. I just need a little break. When it gets really loud, it's rough on me, so I haven't been doing like as many interactive, you know, conversational lessons as I usually do. I've just cut that back a little bit. So just kind of know your limits, know what you're comfortable with. Oh, the last thing that, this is just a regular pregnancy symptom, but your hair grows so fast. Like, what is happening? Like, my hair is growing so much from like the prenatal vitamins and then just growing a baby. But it's not just like the hair on my head, like my eyebrows grow in so fast. I have to pluck them like all the time. Like my leg hair grows so fast, like you have to shave all the time. It's kind of crazy. This is just too much for me to deal with. I'm cutting it off next week. Like I gotta go a little bit shorter because this is just too much for me to deal with. Yeah, you don't have as much time in the morning. Like you don't want to put as much time into like dressing nice and wearing as much makeup and doing your hair. You're just a lot more tired. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel when you get into your second trimester, which I'm just kind of barely turning that corner right now, but I do feel a lot better, I promise you. I felt awful a month ago, but right now I feel so much better. I can really feel my energy coming back. I feel like my motivation coming back. This is just kind of a fun news season where like other people get to be excited with me. I get to tell people, and my symptoms are starting to go away a little bit. I'm still very hungry and more tired than I would be if I wasn't pregnant, but you know, things are starting to even out a little bit. And I'm very hungry all the time. I like to eat. I haven't had any like very weird cravings or anything, but I just want food in general. And I'm 13 weeks, so for now, like I've just been wearing all my old clothes and everything. I have a feeling that probably after Christmas, I'm not going to be able to fit into all my clothes anymore. I'm probably going to have to get a few things. And actually next month I'll be doing Dressember, which I made another video about, so keep an eye out for that. So every day in December, I'll be wearing a dress, and I think that'll actually be like a really good little transition month. I'll be in like my 4th month of pregnancy, so I can just wear dresses and leggings because my jeans are starting to feel a little bit tight when I button them, and they're not like the most comfortable thing right now. But I think just like a dress and leggings will feel really good, and I can fit into all that stuff still, but it gives me a little more wiggle room. So anyway, I'm excited to share this news with you, and if you are somebody who is recently pregnant, maybe you're in your first trimester, or you're just thinking about getting pregnant, you're kind of like, how is this going to affect me if I am a teacher or I'm working full-time, then maybe this video can help you a little bit. One thing I will say though is that I think if I wasn't working and I was just at home, I think all I would do is sit there and think about how crappy I felt, and that would not be good. So when I was at work, that's actually when I felt the best because, you know, my mind wasn't on how terrible I felt most of the time. You know, I had students to focus on and content to teach, and, you know, the time kind of goes by pretty quickly during a class period. And so it was really just like at lunchtime or like when school got over that I would just be like, ugh, and you start to feel kind of yucky. But if you've got things that keep you kind of busy, then I think that actually is a blessing because the worst times were like when I was at home and I was just, I mean, I had worn myself out too, but you know, then I would just sit there and be like, oh, I don't feel good. So as much as you possibly can, like get out and do whatever you need to do. That's probably good for you. My doctors kept telling me to like work out and go to the gym and go on walks and everything. And man, in the beginning, I'm a pretty active person, but that was just like out of the question. And my husband is like a personal trainer, so he was telling me to like, everything in front is getting really big, so you're gonna need to like, you know, be like doing some back exercises and like strengthen your back so you can carry everything in the front. And that's very true, but at the beginning, it's just really hard. I was doing like Blogilates because that's not too taxing on your body, and I would go for walks as often as I could, and that did make me feel better. But if you don't feel like you can handle that in your first trimester and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be a terrible mom, a terrible pregnant person because I can't work out, don't worry, because you'll probably feel more like doing it, you know, around like 11, 12, 13 weeks. You'll be like, okay, actually I could go to the gym, I could go for a walk, I could, you know, do a little bit more. You will feel better, and then, you know, you'll be able to get some of that exercise in, get some blood moving, and you'll feel better, and it is good for you to do that. Anyway, I'm sure this video is so long. I don't even know what time it was when I started this, but sorry if it's like the longest video of all time. But what I would love is if you are a mom and you have kids, especially if you went through pregnancy while you were teaching, I would love for you to leave some advice, some tips, just some, you know, life hacks about how you got through it. Even if you're not a teacher, but you just have some good tips about that first trimester of pregnancy or into the second trimester, because now I'm going into the second trimester and now I need all new advice. So helpful hints that you could leave for me or for anybody else that's maybe watching this video and likes to check in the comments. That would be great. I would love to hear what you have to say. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for celebrating with me if you are celebrating on the other side of the computer screen. I was a little bit like anxious to tell people just because it's a little overwhelming, but it's so nice. People always react so well and they're just so excited for you and they congratulate you, and it's been really cool to start telling people and just see people just genuinely happy for you. I think this is a pretty cool time. So thank you for sharing in on this with me, and I look forward to reading your comments and making a few more videos as I go throughout this kind of teaching / now we're adding in the pregnancy element. Anyway, I will let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.